Hello lads, we're back with another 5th class possibility. Lots of you have said you are certain that it'll be a Ratling, just because the team talks about it quite a bit. And many of you really want it. I'll say a few things before we begin. I am aware a long lays has been data mined, but I don't see the gameplay of a long lays being something that the game will facilitate well, especially with the new combat director update. It wouldn't work as well as we all would like it to. The other issue is character height and level build. These are issues that we have now, where a character is too tall has a larger hitbox, and a character that is too small has a harder time hitting domes and gets hit in the head more often by enemies. The balance in this is a little wonky. Does this mean it is impossible to get a Ratling? No, but these are some glaring issues that I see hanging out with the standard Ratling is a sniper design to the gameplay. The other issue is not having it be exactly like a veteran and not having the veteran feel useless. However, again, I am happy to support theories through and through and make a video on how the class could work. So let's get started. First and foremost will be our weapon kit selection. What can we infer from lore? Rattlings are small, nimble, food-loving, non-hobbits or halflings. They are not hobbits or halflings. They are keen snipers and craftsmen and have the nimblest fingers that would make an edgelord rogue blush. So how can we facilitate the class? Small arms. Oh no, it's a gag, as well as a unique weapon type. This would allow for the implementation of new models of machine pistols, dual stub pistols themselves, dual revolvers, hell pistols, dual las pistols. You get the idea. Weapons that allow for close quarters battle fighting. Melee? Well, let's talk dual knives, dual hatchets, hammers, maybe a power fist for Rattlings, Vets and Ogren. Cause let's be honest, who wouldn't love to see a Vet and an Ogren do a boxing match with the heretics and the traitors? I'd love to see an Ogren personally punch the shit out of a traitor Mauler or even a traitor Ogren. That'd be the boxing match of the Karking century. Additionally, watching a veteran do some bare knuckle brawling, not really, with the power fist, you know that would look Karking fantastic. And lastly, on a Ratling, you're tagging heretics in the head, just not the one they'd expect. Some unique choices are required to give the Ratling that feel of a dexterous fighter, getting into the fray, looking like a dust cloud from the old hollow Looney Tunes clips. Looking over Blitz ideas, a lot of you lads have some solid ideas that I can get behind. First is one that I thought of, which involves the long lays in two forms. Treating it much like McCree's High Noon ability or the Deadeye from Red Dead Redemption, and having it target 1 to 6 maximum enemies for high damage, allowing you to make multiple high-powered shots before the weapon has an overheat and needs to cool down, just for an animated flare. I think the total shots should be 2 to 6 shots in total for balance, and should be a one-shot on all but Ogrins and Mollers until you use sub-nodes that either increase the damage by 100% and reduces the total ammo by 50%, or you have a node that increases the amount of shots but adds a debuff like vulnerability or brittleness to enemies hit while reducing damage by 25 to 50%. The same concept can be applied, but you are a scout or target designator for another Ratling that is following the group along the rooftops and rafters of the levels we walk through, giving you a sense of being two Rattlings in a trench coat, watching out for each other. This may not be the best option, While the funny option may not be the best as it takes away from player agency and making you feel like the one who's the badass. Another Blitz option that many of you have mentioned is a trap layer, covering the avenues behind the team as the combat director seems to take its jollies from rear-ending the team pretty hard. This is an idea that I really enjoy, and one that was shared with the comments into other options for a tech acolyte. Having an extra drop and forget opportunity to keep the team secure would be solid. These animations could simply be the Ratling pulling a 40k IED and tossing it behind us, with sub-nodes into slow effects, bleed, or a neon paint that marks the targets caught into the blast. Or maybe a bit of all three. A third option would be very unique to the Ratling, a group stealth mechanic, be it tossing a flash at the ground or a smoke grenade that covers the team in a stealth field and allows everyone to reposition and get a breath of fresh air. As fresh as it gets on Tertium. This would allow for some solid team save clutching, while not relying on having another aura, shout, or pulse that pushes or pulls targets off of your allies. This could be totally unbalanced as well, but it would be nice to have a full team stealth ability. The last one I could imagine as a Blitz would be a 5-fingered discount that only a Ratling could pull off. Targeting all enemies that have a ranged weapon that includes enemies that swap from range to melee, and stealing 10% of each hostile's ammunition within that radius. Not 10% total, but 10% from all enemy units. Then distributing it equally to all team members within the radius. The less team members in the radius, the more ammo you get, and whatever allies you have in. So, if it's all 4 of you, split equally. If it's 3 of you, it gets split up, so on and so forth down the line. The sub-nodes for this Blitz could then provide 50% damage buff and a full magazine into everyone's weapon. Or everyone now fires brittle or bleed rounds, dealing less damage but weakening enemies as the battle goes for 5 to 10 seconds, while also filling the magazine. With these blitzes, we get a class that is able to uniquely provide aid to the team, or provide a unique way to damage enemies without having the veteran feel like more of an exposed rump chump, which is one of the few reasons why creating a standard sniper Ratling just wouldn't quite work. But with the ideas we have here, and the more ideas that keep coming in from the community, it can find a unique place within the Tertium team, and can fit quite well among any team. What about grenades, I hear you asking? The base, I think, as suggested by one of the commenters, would be a solid 4 mini grenade bandolier. They can be thrown out quickly, not dealing a lot of damage, but covering a wide area and offering a good stagger. Base loadout would be 8 of these little legs. How do we change them to be unique and effective? Increase their damage, and allow for some kind of brittleness or vulnerability stack, and throw all 8 as a bandolier toss. Puts out a viable excuse for a damage increase, lets you feel like these grenades aren't a waste of your point investments. Change it over to a leaper mine, adding that drop and forget mentality, leaving behind a blitz and leaper for the hood to eat right in the face, with the squad laughing, knowing for a few seconds longer their 6 is going to be clear. Lastly, a grenade that comes with a little bit of a complication, but one that I think would do fantastically. This would be a psychotroke grenade that turns enemies caught in the gash against their allies, and has them fight back against the horde with you, before eventually turning back into an enemy. This also provides you that breath of relief that a grenade does. However, it forces you to keep in mind that they will only be hostile for so long. this also has to come with the caveat that the AI will have its aggression cranked, throwing all preservation mechanics out the window. Will they die? Most likely. Will they deal damage to the enemy? Absolutely. They need to. So this grenade doesn't feel like a total waste, like the smoke grenades on Veteran. While this might cause bugs in the coding, it would be incredibly fun to utilize in hordes and in fights, giving the Ratling lines like, "Hey, you never liked your friend over there. Why don't you go take him out?" Yes, Ratling should sound like a New Yorker or someone from Boston. The 3 trees of the class will most likely be built around damage, support, and stealth, which is a bit of a disappointment as we already have 2 classes with stealth abilities. But in trying to stay with the theme of the class, this would make the most sense for the character. While I would love to go into what the class should have, the more important thing to highlight and keep in mind before we touch on those is what it shouldn't. That is a set of nodes that are similar in scope to the Veteran, Ogren, or Zealot, because then you're getting a class that does nothing unique to its own, but does everything that everyone else can, and it feels like the better choice because the others have a bigger hitbox than you. This is the other issue, as I've said with Rattlings. They are the smallest, meaning their hitbox with the size editor that we have will be absolutely tiny. If they do get put in, their toughness and health should reflect their smaller stature. With these thoughts in mind, this is part of the reason I don't see a Ratling being the 5th class. But again, I would be very happy to be wrong. I want people to be excited for a class to come out, but it also has to be met with realistic expectations as to the limits of the game. So that's just another thing to keep in mind. I would love to be wrong, and if I am, I'll make a video on it and I will cheer for those of you who get to have your Ratling. I want you to have fun. I want you to have a good time. If we are looking at damage, it should stray away from the lies focus of the Veteran and perhaps have a focus into ballistic weaponry, giving us a character that is all about faster reloads and damage boosts with ballistics. Support should focus not on having more things be restored in ammo crates or health, but allowing for more pulls from ammo crates, or providing an overheal from med crates. You might say allowing for more pulls from ammo crates sounds like Veteran, but you only get 4, but it does restore grenades. This way, you could say double the amount of times you can pull from an ammo crate, or giving you that extra added overheal mechanic with a med crate. Stealth is one I struggle with, as Zealot and Veteran cover quite a lot with their skills. What would you think works here without pulling what the Veteran and the Zealot can already do? And if that seems like perhaps the stealth tree wouldn't work, what would you suggest as a 3rd tree for the Ratling? These are my general thoughts as to what would make this class stand out and be unique to the game. It wouldn't outshine other players, but would provide nice synergy to how the games go and allow for some unique interactions between characters. Additionally, we all know that Fatshark will monetize the crap out of it, but if they can provide us some amazing, freaking amazing, free, earnable, high quality cosmetics for not only the Ratling, but for all classes. Yeah, you know, ones they actually take time in making, and not the Krieg high quality that had to be hotfixed multiple times. Things would be looking up. As for keystones, as always, I'd love to see your input, and if there are other options you would like to see to these trees or general builds, leave them in the comments. The more we talk about it, throw ideas around, and discuss civilly and openly, the better. My ideas are simply that, and other people may have other ideas, which is great. Share what you'd like to see with a Ratling class. I'd love to see it. Shout out to the patrons. Thank you so much for supporting the channel on Patreon. You too can become a Patreon supporter by heading down in the description below, or You can become a channel member and support that way here on YouTube, or you can always support for free by hitting like, subscribe, the bell notification, and commenting. Once again, let me know your thoughts. I would love to hear them. If there's another class idea that you would like me to cover that could be the 5th member of the Tertium team, leave your suggestion in the comments below. I've covered a Tech Acolyte, and I've covered a Ratling. What would you like to see next? See you in the next one, lads. Peace.